today is sort of a end of the year type video, and that's because we're going to be talking about the most disappointing reads of this year for me. I'm sat on the floor instead of the reading chair, which is right here, for no particular reason, just didn't feel like sitting in the chair, I guess. But look at this really cute new coffee mug I got from the same company. They had a crazy Black Friday sale. These were 75% off, so I decided to get one. Well, not one, there's two. There's a different one that I'll have to show you guys at one point, but I am quite happy because I've had a pretty good reading year. The list is not super long, which is great, but there were some very hard disappointments on here. So I only have physical copies of two of them because I've either read them from the library or gotten rid of them this far. So I only have two, but starting off is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Now this may come as a surprise because I have talked about this book before. This book disappointed me is the first half was really good. It's really engaging, it was super twisting. But then the second half, I felt as though the book almost would have been better if there wasn't an explanation for who Piranesi was and where he lived. The mystery of it was so deliciously well done that I would have been fine with it not being explained at all. And I don't know, him being this is a spoiler. Him being a person from Earth sort of like toned down the crazy complexity of it being a whole different world for me. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just felt like if it had remained a crazy mystery for all time, I would have been really fine with that. But I still didn't like it. It just wasn't as good. The first half was so good. The second half did let me down a little bit, but that is number one. Number two, we have Aethos by Isaac Yorks. This is probably one of my most disappointing books of the whole year. So this was a fantasy I bought a little bit ago, and it's got a stunning cover. It's a really well put together book. It's really pretty. But what really drew me in about this was the world building aspect. It is set in a world where they live in this sort of valley and it is surrounded by clouds and everyone lives on floating islands and there's trade winds that will like blow the islands past each other and then they trade with each other. The world building is really cool, but there were a lot of problems I had with this book. The first one being there was a ton of swearing. It's probably the most swearing I've ever read in a book. As well as there was some very crude like jokes and language, and sometimes the way they talked about women was a little icky. It was not great to read about, and there was a spice scene, but it wasn't like super graphic or anything, but it was still a spice scene, as well as there were some very sensitive topics in that book that happened. And I wouldn't have read it if I had known they were in there. So if you do think about going and reading it, definitely try and research some like trigger warnings. I did put a list up of them in the wrap up video that I talked about it in, but definitely check out the sensitive topic in this book before you read it. But I am very disappointed because I loved the way he built up these cultures and we explored these different cultures in this world, and the whole plot was super exciting and exhilarating, and I'm just really sad that it didn't work for me. I guess I should give you the plot. Okay, so the plot is Ensno is an invalid and they are treated awfully in society, but he is attempting to go on this quest to prove that Athos is a globe and not flat, which everyone thinks because his stepdad was imprisoned for being a heretic for claiming that the Athos was a globe. So he is attempting to go on this expedition to prove that it's flat, and there used to be dragons in this world and they imprisoned humanity in the valley that's surrounded by clouds, and no one has really gotten outside of the valley yet. The dragons died off, so it's a very like high stakes, heart pounding adventure story that I really would have loved, and it just makes me sad because I was really trying to find like a new high fantasy series that I could invest in because book 2 comes out next year, but that is definitely one of the most disappointing of the year. Then we have This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This book, it really caught me off guard because I have found that I'm very picky when it comes to fantasy books, but when it comes to more classical literature, I really am open to trying anything. So I was really surprised that I didn't like this book. I didn't even finish it because It was the writing. That was the big turnoff for me in this book. And I know it's not because I wasn't feeling it or I was tired that day, because I tried to pick this book up like 4 times. Every time I picked it up, the writing was just not it for me. I felt as though the sentences were so long and we would sort of lose the main focus of the sentence in the middle of it, and the sentences they were really long at certain points. And yeah, it was just like the sentences were super meandering. You would lose the point of it, and it's like, what is even happening here? But this book, it follows Amory, and he is a student at Princeton, I think it was. And I think it was just sort of exploring the dynamics of him being at college and stuff. But it wasn't, the plot itself wasn't super interesting to me, and the writing was just not it. It felt like I was like, it felt like reading. You know how when you're into a book, you imagine it in your head, or you are really invested in it and you're not conscious that you're just reading words on a page? That's how it is for me. But with this book, I was very much so conscious that I was just reading a word on a page. It did not feel real to me at all. So I probably won't be picking up anything again by F. Scott Fitzgerald, which kind of does make me sad because I did really want to read like The Great Gatsby and what was the other one? I don't remember. But that's that one. Then we have the Grimm's Fairy Tales. I love fairy tales, so I really do enjoy reading them. The Grimm's Fairy Tales, though, they are just not it for me, because I feel as though a lot of the Grimm's Fairy Tales are just re-edited versions of different fairy tales. Like, there's a bunch of different ones from all over the globe that the Grimm's brothers took and compiled into one collection of them, as well as edited some of them. And I just felt they were super short. A lot of them were extremely similar. And I don't know, there's not really a reason why I didn't like them. I just didn't like them. I'd much prefer the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales, or like folklore. That's definitely, I think, more my style. But yeah, I used to have these really tiny, cute collections of the Grimm's fairy tales. There were 4 volumes, and then 2 of fairy tales from around the world. And I got them for Christmas, so I felt really bad about not liking them, but I did give them to some people that I know will really like them. But yeah, that's the Grimm's fairy tales. Definitely did not enjoy those. Then we have one that I do have the physical copy of, and that's The Unraveling of Emmeline Delane. This book, the only reason I'm keeping it is because I am slightly interested about reading book 2. As well as I got this for $5, a hardcover for $5. I am a sucker for a deal. This book is very disappointing to me because the world that this is set in and the plot is super unique and exciting. So this will probably have spoilers, so definitely skip over this review if you don't want spoilers for this book. But this follows, I don't even remember her name. Was it Emmeline? The Unraveling of Emmeline Delane? Okay. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay. So this follows Emmeline, and her sister Camille, I think her name was Camille, went missing 7 years ago. She just unraveled in front of Emmeline's eyes. Of course, nobody believes her. They kind of think she's like a little traumatized, so she's remembering wrong. But 7 years after her sister died, Emmeline goes to pick up her writing journal that she hasn't written in since her sister, I guess she didn't die, she just went missing. And a little dragon falls out of her notebook, or appears, and it is a dragon that she has written about. So it's like her notebook is coming to life, and she follows it to the same spot where her sister went missing, and she unravels, and she reappears in this world called Rivenly, and this world is like a parallel world to ours, but in it they control storylines, and they like fix stories in books if they're messed up. And Emmeline ends up getting introduced to one of the, what were they called? I think they were just like sets of people. There were teams, and they each had 9 members, and each one had a different ability, and they would go into a book and fix the storyline. And she ends up becoming a part of one of these teams. And something is definitely wrong with Rivenly. The stories are like falling apart. So she's attempting to solve what's wrong. The problem with this book though is it was extremely character driven to the and not even it, only a couple of characters really were worked on and really fleshed out. So the world building, when it was like super high stakes and things were falling apart, I didn't really understand why it was important because you hadn't built up the world and how it works and the magic system. Like towards the end, random things started happening that were not explained at all, and according to the book, shouldn't even be possible. And yeah, only a couple of characters were like really developed and a lot of effort put into, which was disappointing because each, like I said, there's 9 members in a team and each one has a unique ability, and it would have been cool to explore each unique ability, but only like 5 characters were really 3D to read about. All the other ones just felt really flat and sort of like plot devices or just there when needed. So that was really disappointing because like I said, I really like the concept of this world. I think it is really fun. It reminds me of the Loki show, the TVA and stuff, which that's one of my, well, I don't know if it's one of my favorite shows, one of my favorite Marvel shows. So yeah, I am quite disappointed at this. Another thing is kind of random, but the main character was also kind of annoying. She was sort of one of those quirky characters where she would just like blurt out a random thought. Like she would go chocolate, and it was kind of annoying to read about. I'm not gonna lie at all. She was just kind of annoying in general at points, but I am kind of interested to see where this story would go. Hopefully, though, it focuses more on the world building instead of just throwing random stuff at you and expecting you to understand. Then I have one that I think I would like it better if I reread it, but that is The Wind in the Willows by, ooh, who is it by? I don't remember. But I went and saw a play of The Wind in the Willows, and it was incredible, and it really inspired me to pick up the book, and I really thought I'd love it because I love animals and like their secret little lives that they lead in underground tiny homes that is full of cute little furniture. I love it. But this book, it was just sort of like, I don't know why. I think it was the writing partly, but I think if I reread it, I would like it a little more. I definitely don't want to give up on it. I think I'm going to try and reread it in the springtime and see if I like it better. And it was just like a writing or a time problem. Like I wasn't ready to pick it up. But yeah, I think I will like that one better if I try and pick it up again. And lastly, the one I have is Ian Forster's A Room with a View. This one honestly didn't super disappoint me. It just didn't compel me to feel anything about it. It was just kind of, I don't know if I missed the point of the book because this does have like deeper themes going on, or I don't know. I just didn't feel like anything. I was just kind of like, okay, next. Like it didn't spark any emotion in me. But this follows Lucy Honeychurch, and it's sort of a satirical critique on England society, I believe. Yes. Because she falls in love with George Emerson, who is unsuitable for her. And Lucy Honeychurch, she's also going on a tour of Italy with her cousin, who was super annoying. And it sort of is a book about she has either to pick what she wants or what society says is acceptable for her to want. Yeah, I don't know if I missed the point, but it was just kind of, I was just kind of like, okay. I didn't feel anything about this book, and I liked the dialogue between some of the characters. I did dislike some of their characters, so I guess that is some feeling, but it just like is kind of unmemorable to me. I don't remember well, I remember about it, but I don't think about it. So I don't know if I should reread it and maybe I'd like it better. Because I don't like just giving up on books unless I really hate them, which it takes a lot for me to really hate a book. So I might try and reread this one. But yeah, that is a super quick, my most disappointing reads of the year. I'm glad it's such a short list. That's good. I feel like I've sort of hit my groove with knowing what I like to read and not just sort of guessing and like trying things. I sort of have found my niche genres that I really like to read in. But yeah, that is this video. Sorry if the background is weird. I will see you guys again soon. And thank you all so much for the support, and goodbye.